Pop City, Atlanta.
Yeah. Okay. So hopefully, people will actually watch this stream. Don't ignore it.
It's
But
it's
yeah.
very I think it's very important because it could be what is a blueprint for stopping any resistance in the United States.
Well, and also considering the influence that Cop City has on worldwide, it isn't just the United States. This is way bigger than the United States.
Yeah, yeah. We're going to talk about that for sure, especially concerning what is going on right now in Palestine, Gaza, and the attack on Israel. So there
For
are
those
connections.
for those of you who are watching, do not be surprised if we bring up Palestine in this stream because
We have to. It's such recent news, and it is very much connected to what we're going to be talking about here.
yeah, because it's like fuck. Like this past week, it's like shit. Like I did not expect this to happen.
And neither did they.
No, they did not. As they said, you fuck around and find out.
Yeah. But so just to start off, if you don't know what Cop City is, basically it outside of Atlanta, Georgia, in this big area forest. Again, I'm from Canada, so I don't know that much, but they are building basically a compound. Which, how much is it worth? Do you remember? Like,
I don't remember the exact. It's like billions, I believe, of dollars. If
no,
not
it's like 900 million, so like almost $1 billion, I think.
wow, that's
And yeah, and basically it's not only like a huge police like barracks and like training area, but they also have a quote unquote simulated combat zone. So they have a city basically set up. And this sounds like you've seen fucking Indiana Jones 4, like Nuketown, like one of those Call of Duty maps. It's like a fake city that they run combat drills in, like mowing down people with like guns. And apparently there are special areas for explosives testing and gas like distribution. So it's basically a training ground for the police to oppress people in Atlanta, which the police of Atlanta do not have a good track record as it is.
no, they don't. And when I've
No.
heard a lot of people, they're hated by pretty much a lot of the people in the community, not just the black community.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, it should be shocking. I mean, considering what happened with like COVID in 2020 and the massive uprising that happened in the United States as a result, it's not shocking that something like Cop City is being built. In fact, I'm surprised we didn't have something like Cop City sooner.
Yeah, I mean, places like that definitely do exist, but usually those places are reserved for like elite military personnel. Like this kind of base is not something that it's not like, oh, police academy, jump over a few tires and shit. No, it's like a simulated city with like dummies and like fucking streets and fake like wall fronts to execute combat drills and try to contain certain situations like protests or anything like that.
Well, they certainly have learned from Israel, considering Israel has had a lot of practice doing what they've been doing to the Palestinians.
So here's the connection. So the um, people who are in the Atlanta Police Department, which are also like shadily backed by this group. I forget what it's called, but they're like some kind of private entity. They're not. So the city is not the city of Atlanta. Like a city would usually be in charge of its own police force, right? I mean, in big cities in Canada, usually that's the way it is. But it's not like the actual compound, the Cop City place, is owned by this organization. I don't remember what they're called, but like police trust, something like that. and they're sponsored by a bunch of big companies, and this has been pretty public news now for a while. Coca-Cola, West Fargo, there's a bunch of other ones. Home Depot or some shit. Like, but
Well, of course,
anyways,
the most conservative companies in the country, of course, they're going to
yeah.
finance Cop City. And I would be shocked if there's some Israeli companies that
Sorry.
are financing it
Oh,
too.
yeah, no, I wouldn't doubt that. What I was getting to, though, is that, sorry, that they have a, like, troop exchange program between the IDF and the Atlanta Police Department, who will be trained in this, and that organization that is like a quote unquote private organization that's sponsored by these people. But they have a troop exchange thing where police department in Atlanta sends over a bunch of guys and they go and join the IDF and oppress Palestinians and do the whole settler thing. And then they get a bunch of like Israeli troops to come over here to be police officers and train in this new little combat city and try it out in real life streets of Atlanta, which is pretty disturbing if you think about it.
Anybody that thinks that American police won't do what the IDF do to Palestinians to us, you're mistaken.
And now
All
that
the
they know
tactics,
that,
everything.
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. All the tactics,
just,
everything you've seen from the police up until now, the IDF does against Palestinians on a daily basis.
and the thing is, Palestinians fight back so much more than Americans do. But now Americans are seeing that people are starting to fight back even a little bit, and they want to be prepared. And this is the kind of response to that they have. Even after the whole, and there's a lot of analysis I've heard on this, like people comparing this to how like there were early calls for police reform, and those calls eventually became much more radicalized. So police abolition, at least in their current state, and diverting funding away from police. But now people have turned, and it's become much more liberal again. And people were like, "Oh, we'll just put body cams on them. Make sure there's more police unions." Which, oh god, police unions? That's the worst fucking oxymoron I've ever heard.
Police unions, the same police that do union busting.
Exactly, that were created to do union busting. In a
And
lot of cases in the United States, yes.
Speaking of union busting, we're seeing more of that right now as workers throughout the entire country are unionizing.
Yeah.
And Cop City is going to be utilized to crush any sort of unionizing protest that goes on.
At least from what I would imagine, I mean, let's be honest here, this could be used as like a blueprint for, okay, militarization of the police needs to go up and up. This is a model for how to do it. This is how we are going to make sure that our police army is ready for anything, be that union busting, be that protesting, be that.
Yeah, but by doing this, though, they're going to make the people resist even harder. This is not going to stop resistance.
No, it definitely has the opposite effect, as we have seen in something like the Israeli-Palestine conflict. The more you oppress, the more resistance you accrue. Like,
and eventually, you're going to get people who are even on your own side that are not going to support what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're doing is going to inevitably create more enemies for themselves. But then again, the capitalists are so paranoid of the American people, and they are scared. Make no mistake about that. They're so scared about the American people. This is why Cop City is being built in the first place. A country
Mm-hmm.
that fears its own people does not build things like this.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. I mean, why do you think Israel is doing the things what they're doing to their own citizens? Because they're afraid of their own people. A government that's afraid of its own people is a government that's basically it isn't long for this world. Though I think Israel will collapse before America does. Actually, with
Yeah,
the way things are going,
probably. Yeah,
like what's happening right now is probably the beginning of the end for Israel.
it
At least that's
hopefully
what's going
is.
to be known as in the history books.
Yeah, I mean, similar altercations have taken place before, but it was always involving Syria in the Golan Heights or Egypt on the Sinai, right? And there were occasional uprisings, but the Palestinians themselves have not launched such a strong like offensive that Hamas has just launched into direct territory, at least ever. Like all out attack, basically.
Yeah, and I don't think Israel's going to win this. They've lost the PR war. I've said this multiple times, and I don't. Okay, I make this. I don't make this a secret. I don't have any empathy for Israelis or sympathy for Israelis, but I do feel like if the more extreme you're gonna, they're the warmongers in Israel are going to get. I think they're going to create their own enemies within their own government, within their own country. So
Yeah,
you're probably going to see us. You're probably going to see infighting amongst Israelis at some point because they're not going to want to deal with the government anymore.
especially once they know that they might not win. Like, yeah,
I don't have any empathy for them, but I think when you create so many enemies, because Israel has a lot of enemies, they don't have friends.
no,
America
their
at
their
some
only
point
close
will
friend
throw is
is far, far
well,
away.
I wouldn't even really consider America a friend because I forgot what this quote was, but it's actually more dangerous to be America's friend than to be America's enemy.
Oh, in the third world, I don't doubt it.
Because
I
think
don't doubt
about it.
that at all.
What's happening in Ukraine right now,
Yeah,
they can't finance both Ukraine and Israel. And they've been giving Ukraine more money in the past year than Israel.
it can't. And they already sent like I don't know if it was a battleship and a carrier or a destroyer and a carrier, but they sent a bunch of ships over to the Mediterranean already to like try to support Israel. I don't know if they're actually going to fire anything, but like they are on the West Bank there, right? Like that is where. So they are directly threatening Palestine. And I wonder if eventually Iran will get more involved, Hezbollah, and um, even like Syria will get more involved. I wonder, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean this whole situation going on in Israel. This has been a long time coming. You don't wage war against a people for so many years and not expect blowback. And Israel
Yeah.
isn't just fucking oppressing Palestinians; they're oppressing Syrians as well.
Mm-hmm. Even Ethiopian Jews whose families used to live in Palestine, which is now Israel, before the 1948 or whatever government was started, they're now like considered second class, even to the settlers. Like Israel's a fascist state. Let's be honest here.
Well, Israel is in its final stages of its existence, and you want to know what that's what America is going to be like when the empire collapses. Is what Israel is going through right now.
Yeah, just on a larger stage, much larger, but yes.
And that is something that the people that are in power are terrified of. I think they know Israel can't win this fight. They know they can't. There's no way they don't know. But they can't say and like because to save face, Joe Biden's not going to say like, "Oh, they can't win" or whatever. They have to support it out of necessity.
Just like the same with Ukraine, yeah.
Just like Richard Nixon with Vietnam, he didn't think America could win that war, but he couldn't say that openly.
Yeah. This is actually a very weird time if you think about it, because like the opposite foot is on like the opposite shoe. You know what I mean? Like now the anti-American forces are the ones on the offensive. And again, I'm not pro-Russia. I'm just giving an analysis here. But like now the non-like NATO powers are the ones asserting themselves. And now I think the US is starting to freak out.
Of course. You fucking provoked Russia into a war. It didn't go out the way you thought it would. Then Israel starts a fucking war, and it's probably blowing your face. I don't think America won this war. I don't think so.
No, they'd rather have it the status quo with their oppressive government in more power. Like, because I think, like you said, this will create more divisions in Israel itself politically. So
I don't think America won this war. I don't believe it did, because now they're in a position where if they abandon Ukraine, that makes them look bad.
Mm-hmm.
So they're fucked. America, they're
already so far in debt and spending so much money in other countries. It's building Cop City in the USA that stuff happens. Like, sorry, Submonkey was saying, what do you think about corporations hiring private military companies and private security companies? I know it's a scary thought. I'm just saying, no, that's absolutely true. But under the advanced stages of capitalism, that's what they can do, and that's often what they do. You're able, if you're, especially if like police in your like city aren't that good, you're gonna get like private security companies everywhere. That's exactly what's happening in my town. And as much as I hate fucking cops, the only thing worse than cops are these fake fucking security guard fucking dicks. They are the absolute worst. Also, what if every state in the United States has turned against capitalism and against each other? It turned to a war zone. What do you think about this switch? What? I don't think that would ever happen. I think if the United States were to collapse, it would be much more fragmented. I don't think, definitely not being against capitalism. People would blame other races or socialism or something. They would never be against capitalism unless.
What would you see as a race? What you would see is a race war, pretty much.
And I don't want to say that, but it's scary but true. Yeah.
Well, America is in a cold civil war right now. Another reason Cop City is being built.
Yeah. I wonder just how long America will last at this point. Like these are desperate moves for desperate times kind of thing. Like
exactly.
Nah, against the fucking
Kyle Rittenhouse is a
he would get gunned down, baby. He'd get gunned down.
Kyle Rittenhouse has a baby face. There's just no way I can take him seriously. I'm just gonna be
put down your gun and square up, little man.
The people that are most likely going to fare the worst when America collapses are going to be white people in America. White people are emotionally.
I hope so.
No, I'm just saying this. White people are emotionally and physically and spiritually weak.
They haven't gone through the same oppression. Of course they are.
If you compare this to
the oppressors always yeah.
Black Americans, I think, are going to fare a lot better because they're gonna be united regardless of what their differences are. And I
Hopefully.
think the
I
black
mean, COINTELPRO has played a lot of part in disrupting this kind of unity that used to happen among the black community. And again, I'm not part of the black community. I'm just as an observer. But like
you are seeing
things,
it slowly happening again, them slowly uniting. Like the biggest thing that pushes the black community is reparations, which I fully support.
of course, me too.
That's just one thing that they all, like, not all, I'm saying most of the black community are united on is reparations and fighting against white power.
Mm-hmm.
Every other contradiction they have is secondary compared to those two issues.
And again, I think I should say there's a difference between embracing whiteness and having white skin. Whiteness is a colonial fucking identity. Whiteness is white supremacy.
Oh, I will have to look that up at some point.
Northwest issues.
Oh, I believe it will erupt in a racial civil war. I believe that. The seeds have been planted for generations. Of course, the seeds I'm talking about, they've been planted since the Civil War era. So this isn't something that happened like within a 2 generations. It's been something that's been happening for over 150 years.
Again, I'm not an American.
Like
I don't want to try to like disagree with you, but dialectically speaking, I think it would more likely be a kind of fascist takeover and then people of color rebelling. And I'm not trying to like overly criticize you, but I think race war is kind of a conspiratorial term. But
well, I don't think I think it's very highly likely, considering the way things are in America.
You're not wrong that a situation like that would happen, but like, no.
I know it. I know it's more complex than what I'm basically saying. I understand that, but that's going to be a huge component in the civil war that's inevitably going to come.
Also, I saw a video of a Canadian woman saying to a Palestinian woman, she said to her, "I hope you get our word and destroyed in your." Yeah. Just because she was supporting the Palestinian people in Rock. That's disgusting.
You know, I might have been fired at my job at Trader Joe's if I still worked for the company. Because I would basically, I'd be unapologetically supporting Palestine.
Based.
Because it's like, oh, Jordan, you're being too disruptive. You know, you shouldn't be supporting terrorists and we can't have people that support terrorists work for our company.
Beautiful. Oh my god.
Because I would have, because I was, at least that's because I was always unapologetically pro-Palestine. Even in the fucking store floor, I wasn't afraid to say that. Because one time my coworker was trying to guilt me into not supporting the Palestinian cause. I was like, you know,
typical tactic. Typical tactic.
And he looked at me like, "What the what?" It's like okay, you talked to me for almost 3 years. Support the it's
your microphone's cutting out, man.
Probably can't help. Maybe it's the CIA trying to like
to disrupt our conversation. Weird enough,
Seems
now I can hear you perfectly. Creepy.
yeah.
uh,
I know we've been focusing on Palestine throughout this whole lot of this stream regarding Cop City, but I don't think the issues are unrelated, considering that the same kind of people that support Israel support Cop City, and I don't think it's unrelated.
no, absolutely. Like, the kind of, and it's not only like conservatives in the US, let's be clear. It's also a good amount of liberals who are like, yeah, well, Palestine and Israel, they're both fighting. So all violence is bad and they attack first. That makes it bad. And then people in the US also who are like, yeah, well, protesters, I mean, they get pretty violent. So, I mean, I do support the police if they're reformed, kind of thing. Like, yeah.
It's like I'd rather deal with the conservatives because at least they're more open that they support that they openly support ethnic cleansing and are not ashamed of it. But the
They're,
liberals do
they're
both
honest
sides.
about it. Yeah.
For the really, or it's like no, you don't. You're supporting
Not today.
Israel. Shut the fuck up.
And you never see that kind of
Or maybe
same
stuff.
empathy for Palestinian people. It's just one-sided. Like, oh, Israel always getting attacked. Have you not been paying attention to what they've been doing for the past fucking 70 years?
He's
Like,
still there.
yes, is the CIA cutting into our communications again?
Okay, I think something might be going on his end.
My mic,
Okay.
can you hear me?
It's like, okay, I think there's some issues with this stream because, I don't hear anything from Maxwell's end.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you were cut off. Ugh.
Fuck, it might be my shitty headphones, but sorry.
It's like, okay, these people are willing to support, it's like, they'll support fictional rebellions and fictional stories, but let's be real with ourselves. Just go on a tangent. Do you think the rebellion in Star Wars, do you think they didn't kill some civilians and as collateral damage when they were fighting against the Empire?
This is what we were talking about before, like, that's what total war is. It's like the bombing of fucking Dresden or like the Soviets bombing like Berlin. It's like, do you think people were not killed? Of course they were. But that's what total war is. And when you're a people and a nation that's been oppressed for so long, like, can you really be so surprised that this would happen?
Well, of course. This shit only happens in movies, and this is why when people have the mindset of who only look at wars because they consume so much like media, like wars are not like fucking you would see in movies. No, they're far uglier than that.
Total war is, yeah.
In war, civilians are going to die. Children are going to die too. I'm not saying that children deserve to die. I'm just stating the the harsh reality.
And I think they should not be targeted.
No,
of course, but in a situation like Israel, where it's so small, and there are so many people close together in this tiny little strip of land, like, and of course, like I was saying earlier, every woman, man, anybody over the age of like 19 has been drafted into the IDF at some point. So how do you distinguish military personnel from civilian personnel, at least over the age of whatever the draft age is? Like,
I hate to say this, but when you're at war with your enemies, you don't have time to think about this sort of thing. Because to second guess yourself is death in war.
He who hesitates is fucking dead. Yeah.
Hard decisions always have to be made in war, and this is not like basically being an apologist for terrorism. But
terrorism and
the
war
harsh
are different
reality.
things. That's the thing. Terrorism and war are different things.
What
And
Israel has been doing to the Palestinians is terrorism.
it's genocide. Yeah.
That too. And you're just been seeing people going masked off, including liberals, about supporting ethnic cleansing in Gaza.
That's so.
For those supporters of Israel out there, how can you justify white phosphorus being fucking used on fucking children? Whatever bad things Hamas may have done, it doesn't even compare to what Israel is doing. Majority of Israel's targets in fucking Palestine, Gaza, is children. How can you justify that? Even if you somehow think that what Hamas did was wrong, how can you justify the murder of children, the mass murder of children? Gaza is the biggest open-air prison in the fucking world. Children.
Yeah.
Waging war against children that have never known peace, children that have never known anything but bombs dropping, helicopters flying in the sky. They never had one moment of peace in their young lives.
Entire lives. Yeah.
And most of them don't live to adulthood.
Yeah.
And what do you expect these children to do when they grow up? When all they've known is war? Of course they're going to join Hamas because nobody else will fight for them. And the only way they can save themselves or their friends is to fight back. And they don't have time to cry or feel bad for the people of Israel. Even if there's children who have done nothing wrong, they have no time to consider that. To them, why should I care? Nobody cared about me when I was a kid. Yes, you have people that are hardened as a result of a lifetime of basically having war be waged against them.
But that's not their fault. Like, yeah.
You may not like what they're doing, but you got to understand it. To me, I don't have empathy for Israelis. I don't. I won't. I cannot show empathy for them. To show empathy for Israelis means I support them, and I cannot support them. I don't. I support those who are actually resisting their government. I do support them, but there's such a small, insignificant minority. And you cannot expect the Palestinians to give a shit about the small percentage of the Israeli population that actually are against their government or fighting against them. And they either are in prison or they're killed or they can't come home because,
Well, it's been I'll say right now, it's been a tactic of the past that when a settler region is taken back by Palestine, they will open up the jail and they'll kill the people that were like murderers and stuff, but they'll let all the like Palestinians and everyone else go. So it's like, it depends how much land they actually regain, but we'll see.
Yes, they were. That's why I'm saying I don't give a fuck about those people. I really don't give a fuck. Like, the biggest concentration camp on the damn planet, and they're having a musical festival. What kind of sick society does that?
That's capitalism, imperialism, baby.
And I won't fucking forget that Abby Martin Empire Files episode. I will never forget when Abby Martin interviewed your average Israeli citizen and the way they talked about killing people. They were talking about it as if they were talking about the weather. It was so casual how they were talking about this. Like, you don't see Americans, even unless it's some deranged right winger in America, talk casually about murdering people. You don't see that because
that's sick. Yeah.
Any American that hears someone talk casually about they should kill people, they would like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And they would fucking kick him to the curb. But Israelis, it's
normal. It's normal for them. Yeah.
And what makes it sick is these Israelis that have never traveled outside of Israel, they think the whole world thinks like them, when that's not true. And they wonder why the whole world fucking hates them. Because it's sick. No normal human being talks the way they do.
Yeah.
We haven't forgotten. Nope. It's like these
Yeah,
colonizers expect
exactly.
European colonizers do what they always do when people who are colonized, when they fight back, they're demonized. They're called terrorists. They're called whatever kind of names because how dare these people that we've been killing for sport for so many years, how dare they fight back?
What do they expect? Again, like,
It's the same thing with the fucking cops. This is not unrelated. When people
nope,
fight back against the cops,
exactly.
I know this stream, a lot of it had to do with Palestine, but considering that's heavily on my mind, I might have to rename this stream like Cop City and how it connects to Palestine. But again, I did not expect this war of Israel and Palestine to happen when it did.
No. They did make a good surprise attack, that's for sure.
And even if what Hamas did was unprovoked, whatever kind of bullshit they come out of
Okay,
their ass.
okay, it was not unprovoked, let's be honest here.
I know it's not.
But
even if it was, you have 75 years of oppression.
Yeah.
It's like Palestinians can't even go to their own freaking holy sites, despite their ancestors being there for generations. And yet the nerve of these European fucking people of European descent talking as if they're the indigenous people of the land, when majority of them can't even recall their ancestry back to Israel.
We were talking about this earlier, like, a lot of the people who were, like, immigrants to Israel were defectors from Soviet Russia or Soviet Ukraine, and they would go there, and then once Israel started poking around and getting in trouble with Egypt and Syria in their own region, again starting more wars, they're like, oh, can we come back? And they're like, nah, stay there, bitch.
Yeah. But the very nerve of these people basically projecting, because some of these people know what I'm talking about when I'm about to say.
Hmm.
Do you approve of Native Americans? Which
Oh,
that
God.
shows you of their racism because they refer to them as Native Americans and not the indigenous peoples. Killing you and your family. And I'm just going to say this. This is a form of racism because they're assuming that the colonized are as violent and as bloodthirsty as them and their ancestors. Now, I won't speak for the indigenous people of America, but I will say this, though. I don't think there's no way that they are as bloodthirsty as them. The reason why, because they have something called humanity. They don't want to inflict to what to the oppressor like the oppressor did to them. Why? Because they have something called empathy. They don't believe in fucking killing people for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. But I guess the context, the way they use it is racist. But you know the way white people talk about Native Americans, they talk about them in racist contexts. So okay, if you're okay with it, then I'm fine. Okay. Anyway, basically, if you support the oppressed fighting back, then you support them basically killing you and killing everyone they care about. It's like
Oh, my
first off,
God.
no, they don't, and they're not going to do that. And not to mention, the situations are completely different.
Yeah. No, it's
Indians.
just.
Just call us Indians. Makes no sense. Oh, okay. Indian. Okay, if that's what you prefer to be called, and I'll just call you. I'll call it whatever you prefer to be called. I'll call you that. Again, I'm not as familiar with indigenous cultures.
Purple Blastoise. Blastoise is my favorite Pokemon. Just gotta tell you that.
but it is. But sorry, it's just disgusting to me that the kind of racism I've seen from the so-called progressive left.
Not even left. I mean,
I said
yeah.
so-called. And can we talk about AOC? Oh God, what she said was gross.
I don't pay attention to that bitch anymore, but go on.
She basically was doing both sidesism regarding Israel and Palestine. Basically, and calling people that fly Palestinian flags as basically people that support Palestine as anti-Semitic.
I can't. You know what? And she was supposed to be the woke one of the fucking Democrats. What a
No,
fucking idiot. Oh God.
she's as much of a racist
And it's not even
as
like
the others.
oh don't like support war, but it's like don't support Palestine specifically. Like so
Oh yeah,
stupid.
please support Israel killing a bunch of people without accountability. Please support them. Please do
Yeah,
that. Please
exactly.
support them committing genocide. That's exactly what liberals say.
Rabasa said, I mistyped. I mean, don't call us Indian. Yeah, that's what I thought you meant because it makes no sense. But
Okay, well, I will call you by what you prefer to be called. I'd stick to indigenous just to be safe because I don't know. I don't
I
call.
think indigenous is like the proper one. I don't know.
I don't.
I think,
I don't like calling the Native Americans Indian because to me that's just.
yeah, well, no, it's just wrong. Like, factually, like,
But what about those in India? That's why I'm saying
you
no.
literally, like, and then, like, dude, old people in my town, there's a lot of, like, actual Indian people here, like, from India, and then there's a lot of, like, Aboriginal people, and they're like, these guys are East Indians, and these guys are Indians. Like, that's the most colonial shit I've ever heard. Like, oh my god.
I just call indigenous people just peoples just to like so I'm not confused because I want to avoid I want to avoid the racial profiling of people. I want to avoid that.
Because, I mean, like, there's just people, it's such a, like, there's so many different people with different languages and cultures and places. Like, when Europeans came and colonized everything, like, they just lumped everybody together as the Indian. It's not like they respected these individual peoples and
You know,
cultures, right?
speaking of which, since you're in Canada, you probably know about this. Isn't it funny how this thing with Israel happens
Also,
as
there is a I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not surprised. Canada has been one of the ones who were undoubtedly supporting Israel in this situation. Who's surprised? They brought a Nazi into parliament one day.
I was about to mention
They,
that, like Nazi gate.
yeah, it's pretty fucked, buddy.
It's
Pretty
like
fucked.
interesting how Nazi gate happens right as this shit happens.
Yeah, no, Canada was one of the ones who was like, oh, we support Israel no matter what, along with the US, France, the UK, and of course, Italy. So, yeah, those are the few allies that Israel has. The rest are either neutral or absolutely hate their guts. So,
You know, one of my favorite memes, even though I hate Harry Potter, is where you have Professor McGonagall. It's like it's always you three. It has like the characters Hermione, Ron, and Harry. You just have
yeah.
the flags of the various imperialist countries. I hate Harry
Literally.
Potter, but that meme is fucking funny.
I like the Harry Potter movies because they have a lot of memeable moments, but I don't like the overall Harry Potter mythos. But
Oh yeah, J.K. Rowling, according to her, Harry Potter would support Israel, which I probably would be shocked.
yeah, probably. I mean, I don't think Ron or Hermione would, but I mean, Harry would probably bully them into believing his side. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean Harry being a Zionist is not out of the realm of possibility.
What if you ran into a Palestinian woman or man rocking a Palestinian flag? I mean, it's this for them. I probably wouldn't hug them, but I would definitely say, "Hell yeah, I support you, comrade."
I would. Man, we spent so much time talking about Palestine. We barely talked about Cop City. But then again,
They are related, but still, sorry about that, people.
do not be surprised if we talk about Palestine a lot in the future.
It's such a major issue going on right now that we have to talk about. Basically, I mean, Cop City is too, but this is such a development that just happened. You know what I mean?
Back in 2020, when Ewoks Unhinged took off, I'm bringing this up because it's relevant. We focused a lot on George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember that.
And since this channel, this podcast, is basically the successor of the real Ewoks Unhinged, not the garbage that turned into like whatever the fuck B liberal calls it now. We're going to be covering Palestine a lot. Yeah, Cop City, we didn't cover it as much as we could have. And I'll have to change the title and possibly to basically Cop City and Palestine, why it's connected.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I mean, yeah. Sorry, I should have stayed on topic more, but.
But again, I don't think the anarchists who are watching in this stream, if they're watching it after the fact, I think they'll understand because anti-imperialist struggle is something that was the focus on Ewoks Unhinged. We talked about freaking what the World War II, I mean not World War III, how it almost happened under Trump with fucking with the assassination of Soleimani.
Yep, Soleimani, yeah. So
we kind of, even though focusing on stuff that's in America and Canada should be something we should do more, but considering that one issue that affects both of our countries is Israel, because Israel and Canada,
they're allies of the imperial court, of course. And
America and Canada are the biggest supporters of Israel.
Well, along with the UK, yeah.
Those three countries are the biggest supporters of Israel, and we have to talk about Israel because it's related. Because in America, there's laws that you have to fucking, depending where you go to, you have to swear an oath about not criticizing Israel. You can look up what happened with Abby Martin in Georgia for proof of what happened. Like, you have to sign a loyalty oath to Israel. It's like, what kind of fucked up is?
Are you even an independent country? Like, oh my god.
Which basically spreads accusations of anti-Semitism, because this reinforces what anti-Semites say, that the Jews are controlling America, because that's a common thing that anti-Semites throw, that Israel is controlling America.
But it's the other way around, really. Like,
no.
What do you mean?
No, America, if they wanted to, they could cut. Israel depends on America. It wouldn't last a day without American support.
America is the one in charge. Israel doesn't control America. America controls Israel.
I remember I debated Zionist on Twitter, and I basically insulted him when I basically said, when I basically told him, like, you better start being friendly with your neighbors, because America won't always be here to support you.
No, that's true.
Believe me, if America, when America collapses, they're going to drop Israel like a fucking rock, because they're going to have bigger concerns than focusing on Israel.
Building more cop cities instead of.
What's really frustrating about the Israel-Palestine is it's very difficult to find any news, because all of it's fucking propaganda.
Yeah.
I mean, I do
stuff like. Sorry, go ahead.
I do follow this one guy, though. He's a Russian shill, but I mostly follow him for his news on the Middle East, mostly. Because I think he's solid when it comes comes to talk about Middle East stuff, but when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to what's going on in Ukraine, we hear like Ukraine's on the verge of collapse. Well, at this stage, it's probably true.
Yeah.
It's because is what Israel did fucked over Ukraine.
Like geopolitically for the United States, this is an absolute nightmare. And I was saying to Darks earlier, like, what if now China was like, okay, time to take back Taiwan? Like, the U.S. would be shit out of luck. Like, they'd be so fucked. Like, their forces are spread so thin, doing all these proxy wars, and now, and let's not just forget about like the other wars that they're still maintaining in Syria. Like, they're still there. There's still a war in Syria. Like, the U.S. is stretching its forces so thin. It even at home with their tax-paying money that's going towards Cop City, they are scared and they are trying to arm themselves, basically.
That's true.
Let's see. Yeah, fuck it, dude. Every time I see a fucking Blue Lives Matter flag, even in Canada they have it. It's like the Canadian flag with a little blue line for it. I rip that shit right down, dude. Fuck that.
How I could tell someone's ideologically fascist is how big their American flag is. I'm not joking. It's one thing for a flag to be small because it's you live in America, it's expected. But I'm talking about a gigantic when you fly in your truck, a
Oh
gigantic
god.
flag. That
Oh
to me
no,
is I know.
people in Canada who do that now with the Canadian flag, they're basically just only associated with like those like trucker fascist guys. So like everyone's like, yeah, they're not just some like liberal, they're some like right winger with like a big ass like diesel truck and like of just huge Canadian flag in the back. Like, okay, bitch.
To me, okay, someone who flies an American flag on their own house. Okay, I know. I wouldn't. I don't know how. They're just doing what every normal what every American would do. It's one thing to do it there, but to have a big gigantic flag being flown as you're driving, that is pretty much mask off.
When you go out of your way and you're like, yeah, promoting it even more. Yeah.
Man, this stream has not what I originally had in mind, but oh well. A shame this didn't get the attention the last stream got because this is a very important issue.
Everything I talked about is pretty important, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this stream is not over yet. It's getting close to the conclusion because Maxwell Glover.
I can go on longer, but it's like, whatever. I don't know.
Well, how long can you go on?
Right now, I'm pretty good. Probably like another hour if you want, but if
It's
you have
up
more
to
things
you.
to talk about. No, I'm good.
Okay, as long as you're fine, we can go for as long as you
Yeah,
that you can.
just so you know, in the audience, I'm kind of sick right now. I have a COVID, and I also recently had to go on a oxygen machine to sleep for sleep apnea, so I'm kind of a little bit not doing well recently, but yeah, I'm good. I can talk for a while. We're good, man.
Okay, if Maxwell Glover can go on for longer, then we'll do it we'll do
Yeah,
it for
no,
another hour.
don't worry about it. If I'm like gonna pass out, I'll tell you, so it's
All right.
fine.
So don't be surprised if this stream ends suddenly because
Okay, love it. Okay, sorry. Someone says, "Have you seen the red, white, and blue American flag? But instead of the stars, they're changed." I don't think that socialism should be associated with anything American.
I think it's cringe. Like,
I think
why
it's
would you
very,
change?
very cringe. I think socialism is anti-American. Let's keep it that way. Fuck Caleb Mump and fuck all these American apologists.
Okay, I'm sorry, but if you're gonna put the hammer and sickle just keep it on the Soviet flag, because the Soviet flag. The reason I love that flag is it's so simple in its design.
I mean, to be
It's just
fair, a lot of older communist parties and ones that still exist have had that flag, but it's only as their party flag. It's not their national flag. So,
well, I just
but
like the Soviet flag because to me it's simple in its design, and I think
mhm.
that's a good thing. Like red and a hammer and sickle. To me, I prefer the simpler design. I don't we all these flashy looking designs for these flags. It's like this is what fascists do. It's like I don't care about these flags.
I
I
mean,
don't.
sometimes traditional cultures have things that they want represented on a flag, and that makes sense. But at the same
Yeah, but they're
time,
not. But but that they're not overly complicated like these
yeah,
flags from America.
yeah, that's true.
I
America
mean,
does have a very overly complicated flag, don't they?
its flag sucks. I mean, if you see, I mean, even though I don't, even though Brazil's a fascist country, I'm not gonna lie, that design for its flag is pretty dope.
I wouldn't say they're a fascist country now, but they're definitely like a corrupt, terrible country. But yeah.
Well, I'm talking in terms of the design. I think the flag looks pretty cool. If we're going
No, it
aesthetically,
does.
but still,
It does.
it's not that complicated of a flag. And I think the more complicated a flag looks, it's just the you don't need you don't you don't fucking need like it's like yeah, America has the worst fucking flag. It's like if of all the things you had to do, you had to copy the British flag,
Oh, yeah,
which
you haven't seen the old Canadian flag, which is basically just like a little British flag in the corner, and then like a red background and a little white maple leaf in the middle, and
it's
then
like
like
you
a
made a
little
worse
flourish. Like,
you made a
yeah,
worse looking version of the British flag, and I don't even like the British flag.
no,
I don't like it either. It's like fucking god. And okay, of course, these Americanists with cops, like you make an awful
oh,
flag worse by just putting blue and black.
just makes them look even more fascist.
It's
Yeah.
like what the fuck?
And like I don't know if you've seen them, but like those guys with like those like they have like that Punisher sticker on the back of their truck, and they're like driving around. They have like the blue and black thing and like a giant like American or Canadian flag coming out. It's like fuck you, little. I know you have a small dick in that big truck, you fucking dick.
What's ironic is the character, the Punisher, hates those kind of people that would do that.
That's true.
I
He'd
know.
fucking beat the shit out of them.
I know. I know. I think one of the creators of the Punisher hated that.
But then
I think.
eventually the Punisher became kind of this right wing symbol, which is kind of weird. But at the same time, I mean, comic books do lend themselves to that, American comic books. And I'm not going to be beating around the bush. That's what I do think. But I don't know. American comic
Well,
books do kind of tend towards fascism. And I mean, they're good stories, but
a lot of Americans. The reason why fascism is so popular in America because of its entertainment.
mm,
Or when it does criticize fascism, it's kind of weak.
yeah, especially lately.
It's like very weak, or try to basically make it seem like both sides have valid points. It's like no.
Mm.
It's like the Star Wars fandom as an example. Why are so many fucking Star Wars fans imperialist apologists?
Because their ideologies align with that. But at the same time,
Don't get me wrong.
some people are like, oh, they look cool. I'm like, yeah, I guess they look cool. But I actually kind of like the way the rebels look a little more than the
Don't get me wrong. I like
Imperials.
characters like Guild Paleon's a great character,
Mm.
and so is Thrawn. But majority of Imperials are not like that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, honestly, let's be honest. Thrawn's kind of a fascist.
of course he is.
Like, he's a cool villain and all, but like, he is a fascist. Everyone in the Empire is like.
Well, the thing is, in fiction, they always make the fascists look really, really cool. From
It's either
Xeon,
it's either really really cool or really 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 dumb. There's no like in between.
it's like
Yeah.
either make Xeon. It's either Xeon, which have the cooler looking uniforms, cooler looking mech designs, or the Empire. That's to make fascism popular. You do it by making it look aesthetically cool. Because
Mhm.
the only thing fascism has going for it is aesthetic.
Mhm. Basically, at this point, yeah.
It has nothing else going for it.
What would you do to change the American flag and Canadian flag and UK flag, Julian? Well, first we'd have to change all those countries to make them not fucking imperialist anymore. But
I wouldn't
I
keep
don't
the
know.
American flag.
No, I wouldn't keep any of the remnants of what any of them look like.
To me, I see the American flag no different
Sorry.
from the swastika.
Had a lot more time to cement itself in the world's imagination for sure. I'm sure a lot of third world people say the same thing.
Well, the swastika does not is not this what that doesn't represent what the Nazis did to
Well,
it.
the swastika is an ancient Indian and Chinese symbol, right? But it wasn't turned on the angular way that Hitler made it look. But yeah,
if you just look at the way the Nazis have the swastika compared to how it's traditionally supposed to look.
like I saw, yeah, in Japan, I went to like an old Buddhist temple, and they had like big mural hangings, and each had a swastika, but it wasn't the same kind of tilted swastika. It went the other way, and it was straight, but like, and it wasn't trying to be like it basically represents the wheel of life, like reincarnation kind of thing. So it's an ancient spiritual thing, but Nazis took it and made it their symbol. With Nazis did with everything. Like, let's be honest.
I do know in the Naruto series, in the manga, there was a swastika on a character's forehead, but when it was animated, they changed it because of international markets.
Well, I think that also has to do not just with that, but also with the whole Charles Manson thing. Like Charles Manson had like a swastika on his forehead, but I have no idea.
Okay, Naruto, in the Hyuga clan, they have a thing on their forehead. For those of you who are not born in the main branch, and in the manga, it's the swastika. It's a swastika. Well, in the anime, it's not. Even in the English translations, they didn't change it. It's just because more people consume the anime than the manga, so they changed it. Which whatever. I bring this up because the swastika isn't a Nazi symbol according to most Asian cultures, but
historically in Asia, no, of course not. No,
the Germans have ruined that symbol to the point where it's going to be centuries before people will be able to safely fly it again because they basically tainted that symbol.
To be fair, though, the Nazi swastika does not look the same as the Asian one because it's a little bit. It's like not on the same. I hate to say this joke word, but axis. It's like it's tilted the other way, so it's not like the way it looks. But yeah,
I know, but its context matters.
It does, and that's why, in my opinion, might be controversial. But I don't think we should embrace symbols right away that have been used for counter-revolutionary movements, in my opinion, like that swastika or stuff like that.
I know the Star of David is pretty much good. It's going to take It's going to take a long time for that to be acceptable to be used again.
Well, there's that, and then there's the Israeli flag. I guess they're a little bit different.
Because the Star of David is a sacred symbol for the Jew, and Israel has tainted that symbol. They basically made it no different from the swastika.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I do believe it can be. I believe that the Star of David can be redeemed, but the problem is, you need generations for that trauma to heal, and for the Jews, they've never had a chance to heal their trauma. Their trauma is generational. Like what happened with them with the Nazis, they still are suffering through it to this very day, and Israel is taking full advantage of the trauma of the Holocaust. And they don't
Yeah,
give
their
a
sympathy.
Yeah. And that's what's tragic about it. If there's one thing, if I'm gonna feel any empathy, it's that they are taking advantage of trauma with the Holocaust.
Yeah. But I mean, considering the new age that we're in, like, according to other Zionists and like fascists, these boundaries don't even seem to matter anymore. Canada will invite a Nazi who fought against Soviet Ukraine and Soviet Russia into parliament, and they will support other fascists in other countries. So, like, these kind of boundaries that we used to have in the Cold War era, I think, are disappearing to some extent. They're definitely there in other ways, but like these other kind of things, it's like people are making shady deals, and that's how capitalism works.
Yeah. And it's an unfortunate reality, though. I actually think it's going to take a lot longer for the Star of David to be able to be acceptable to be used again after Israel collapses, because Israel has tainted that symbol.
Again, I'm not Jewish, so I can't really say anything about that.
Well, when I look at the Star of David, I think of Israel, the country. To me, I think of a symbol of genocide.
Yeah, me too, honestly.
And
I hate to say it, but when I think of the fucking menorah, I think of the like Mossad logo. Like, that's literally what it is. Like, they've taken these, like fascists do, they take these ancient meaningful symbols and turn them into hateful things associated with genocide.
I see the swastika in the same way as well, because the swastika, like, no matter what form it takes, it's still I still think of the Nazis before I think of the peaceful symbols that it represents.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the unfortunate thing. Like, you know,
for the swastika to get redeemed, Israel has to collapse. The ideology of Israel has to be destroyed, because Zionism is basically basically it's the next evolution of Nazism. That's basically what it is, and both ideologies have to be completely destroyed. And you need generations for people to heal, for those symbols to be used again.
I don't know. I think as long as it's on an Israeli flag, then it's fucking terrible. But you're right. The association I make is with Israel. That's the unfortunate thing. That symbol's like 4,000 years old. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
yeah.
It existed long
But
before.
you can't ignore modern context. Definitely.
Now, I know I don't think Jews are going to agree with me when I said about the Star of David, but
Yeah, I know Nick
I'm
will
not.
not, but
I'm not Jewish.
same with the menorah. But
When I look at the Star of David, I
me
think of
neither.
Israel. I don't think of the ancient symbol of David. I think of Israel, and that's what makes Israel so dangerous.
See, I
Because
try to separate that more, but I
I
know what you
do,
mean. I know what you mean.
but you can't expect everyone to do that.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's why I believe in a post-capitalist world, we shouldn't be thinking about communism at all right now, because we're going to need. I believe when socialist revolution we're going to be spending the first few centuries building rebuilding the world, rediscovering who we are as a species.
That has to happen first before. Yeah.
We don't know what we really don't know what a post-capitalist world looks like. We never achieved
No.
worldwide socialism. And contradictions are going to pop up when we get to socialism. There's just no ifs or buts about it.
But if we work through it dialectically, I mean, like you said, I don't think communism is the first thing that should be on people's minds. But after that, at least working towards communism always. Like,
obviously, that should be the end goal. But the first few centuries, we're going to be focusing on rebuilding the planet because the unfortunate reality is capitalism is going to destroy most of the planet by the time it's done.
Yeah, I don't know.
And we will be spending the first few centuries rebuilding the world.
Trying to find new energy resources, making new things, recycling, trying to use, because that's what we'll have to do in the future much more, right? We'll have to reuse the waste we make into other things. And there still is a finite amount, because every time you break something down, it gets a little smaller. But, like, that will have to be a very important thing. And I don't think, like, people can ever truly, like, go beyond Earth without at least a basic form of socialism. Like, humanity cannot go to the stars and do the whole exploration thing on capitalism.
It will never happen because what's gonna happen? It's like, because I feel like an advanced civilization, if we're going by the Soviet model of the type civilizations that they propose exist, like a type 1, type 2.
Okay, well, I don't really believe that stuff, but okay.
Well, I believe it to an extent. At least, if we're going to be at type 1, according to this model, we can't do it through capitalism. We just can't. Because under capitalism, there's a lot of stuff that would hold us back. Because profit is what drives production. And you cannot have a profit-based system if you're trying to become a spacefaring species.
Look at the space technology going on right now. Like, Elon Musk is launching rockets to get fucking... Some of them work, most of them don't. But, like, when it's sponsored by the state, it's much more powerful. We've seen that with the Soviets. We've seen that with NASA. We've also seen that with the Chinese now. Like, when it doesn't rely on the private market to get stuff into space. It's just not efficient.
No, because the profit motive will prioritize profit. They'll cut corners and do anything they can to, like, reduce cost.
Yeah, exactly.
It would actually be cheaper, and our technology would be more advanced if capitalism wasn't holding us back. But capitalism, to bring this topic back to what we were discussing, is going to be used. These advanced technologies that could be used to improve our lives are being used to further oppress us
and make more profits. Yeah, yes. and destroy the earth more. Fun, man.
It's like, yeah, this destroying the lifeline of our species. It's like, you know, what?
Sorry, Submonkey said, yeah, under capitalism would be like Dune universe and Cyberpunk universe type scenario. Yeah, and that's not a good thing. Like, I hate nerds who are like, oh, I wish I lived in Cyberpunk. Like, no, you don't. That's fucking terrible. Why would you want that? Why would you want to live in the Dune universe? It's terrible. It's close to reality. It's scary, but, like, it's not a good thing.
I don't think we will live in the Dune universe. The reason I say that is
because to get into space, you need socialism.
Space feudalism just can only exist in a fantasy novel.
Also with aliens that are easily to contact. Like, yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
It's like the technology we have, like, we could be using to improve our lives. Like, automation could be used to improve our lives, but it's being used to further oppress us. AI could be used to basically improve our lives as well, but we use it to
to take away jobs, to basically take away aspects of what makes us human. And what makes us human.
I mean, I don't think that would be such a bad thing as long as people were able to get other jobs and the government would be like, oh, your job was replaced. Here, I will give you another job right now. But that's not how it works under capitalism.
What I was about to make is taking away what makes us human. When I was talking about, what I was referring to is art.
Oh, God.
Art.
Oh, God.
That's what I was talking about when it comes to taking away what makes us human. Because if AI is basically being used to basically write movie scripts, to write books, to draw, then what's the point in artists? What's the this just gives the capitalists more excuses to defund these programs that exist in schools and colleges, and make it so this kind of stuff is basically only an elite few who aren't fucking AI would be able to create this art. You'll have art get more and more soulless. It's like,
I don't know. I think technology will have to advance a bit more for it to be actually as good as real artists. Because like right now, sometimes it's pretty impressive, but most of the time it's kind of janky. But like in the future, I definitely see that happening.
Well, I'm just talking about the future, inevitably.
Yeah.
Okay, I have no problem with AI being used as a tool to help people that are trying to write a story, because spelling or whatever, I don't have an issue with that. I have no problem with. Or maybe assisting to helping someone draw. I don't have an issue with that either.
Yeah.
It's as long as it's in the hands of humans and it's used as a tool to help, that's different than having it being used to further oppress us and further take away what makes us human. Because I do believe without art, that is what makes us human the most. And if you want to tell the health of a civilization and just look at the kind of art that's being propped, and people who watch movies, they will support fucking like the rebellion in a film, but they will not support real
life struggles,
rebellions.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
They'll support the rebellion. They'll support the rebellion in Star Wars, or the Yemenis, or the Iraqis and the.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Sorry, my mic was being shitty there. Sorry.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII is an anti-capitalist game. Yeah, it is. It's like you're literally playing as a group as freaking people who are oppressing, basically against a corporation. Oh, and of course, then you have some of these dipshits who say, "Oh, Thanos did nothing wrong."
Oh God. I can hear you, Glover. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I've read what you said.
Let me see. I mean, I wish there was more film representation for indigenous people.
Don't get me started on Marvel movies. Like in the latest Black Panther, the villain was a fucking indigenous person.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I only seen the first Black Panther, and I got very turned off by it.
I can't.
I do not like it at all.
The second film was literal fucking torture. It's like, wait, I'm supposed to feel sorry for the Wakandans when the Wakandans are literal fucking imperialists who are
they're allied with basically NATO, like.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's like, what the fuck? But we're
Oh, and the people that want to
I
fight
could not
back,
fucking see them as the good guys.
they're evil.
It's like I blame Marvel films for this as well. For the oppressed fighting back, they're demonized or portrayed as going too far.
Hmm.
Well, we have to think of the colonizers' feeling. It's like, fuck you.
Fuck off. Ugh. Like,
It's like,
colonizers
fuck.
did so much damage. Like,
What do you say?
no, just like stuff colonizers done. Like in like Kenya, like the 1950s to like 1960s, British people killed like 300 like Kenyans a day, like because they were resisting. Like people who show for colonialism and think it's on equal grounds to the oppressor are the lowest of the low.
Yeah, they are. That's why I'm saying it's the very fact that these people have, like, they can rightfully support indigenous, like, colonized people in fictional media, but they cannot do it in the real world is what pisses me off.
It's that disconnection. It's that first
Like,
worldist individualism. I swear to God.
you know the stupidest thing I've ever encountered online? This happened today. You had a Naruto fan comparing the Uchiha clan massacre to what's going on in fucking Palestine. It's like, wait, hold on, fucking hold on for a second. You're talking about a group that was oppressed and that were boxed in a fucking in the outskirts of the village, and what they wanted to do was basically have to not be boxed in anymore, and didn't. And Itachi basically killing them was justified, essentially. Like, and you're comparing it to the people in Palestine. Oh, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck? Wolf, genocide's bad, regardless if it's fucking fictional or not. It's basically arguing, supporting genocide for what's going on in Israel. It's like, wait, I don't fucking want to hear this shit when I'm just here for freaking Naruto fan art and fanfiction. I don't want to hear this bullshit.
I just want Naruto. I don't want this shit.
I just want fucking Naruto fan art and fucking fanfiction. Don't want to fucking read this shit.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yes.
Fuck.
It's like, what the fuck?
Now people.
I'm sorry. It's like.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's like, oh, what about the innocent people in Konoha? It's like, it's a different fucking thing.
People are too caught up in their little fake realities to.
And the person had to remind everyone that they're Israeli. It's like, yeah, well, I don't care if you're Israeli. I think it's fucking stupid comparing the two in the first place. One of them is in a work of fiction, and the other is fucking not. Exactly. And not to mention,
you know how much of a fucking lame nerd you look like comparing stuff like that. Like, okay, I mean, I might compare it in my head. I might, but like, I would never post that.
Like, okay, the Uchihas were not colonized people in Naruto. They weren't.
Yeah,
they weren't colonized.
No.
It's just not a comparison.
And Sasuke's base for going against it. Gotta say.
Well, Sasuke was not a revolutionary, but that's a discussion for a different time and a different day. Because to be a revolutionary, you have to have support from the people. And you have to be for the people. Individualist revolution is not a revolution.
That's Napoleonism, basically. But anyway.
Anyway, I'm just bringing this up because some of the stupidest takes. You even have Mark Hamill comparing the rebellion to the fucking Israelis. It's like, what the fuck?
What the? What? Really? Oh God! What the fuck did he say? What the fuck did Mark Hamill fucking say?
He was compared the Israelis fight against Hamas to fucking the rebellions fight against the empire. It's like, and he did this the same day he was talking about the indigenous genocide in America.
Just shows he's a two-faced liberal. I mean, like, that's fucking.
If you're wondering when Luke does that, it's in Fate of the Jedi. That it's a book series. Where he does it there, but I'm not going to talk about that because that's shifting the topic. The reason why I bring this shit up because you see all bunch of liberal takes on Palestine.
And they're all pro-Israel.
Yeah, it's like, I would rather them just shut the fuck up than to speak. The more Mark Hamill speaks, the more I fucking dislike him. I'm not joking. I love his acting in Star Wars and his and anything
And
related
Batman.
to the Joker.
Yeah, but oh,
As a person, no, fuck no.
he's old. He'll probably die soon. So, whatever.
It's like fucking God. You know what's ironic? Since we're talking, this game is no longer available. But if you, I have to look it up. It's somewhere on my community tab though. You have to look about a year's worth of community tabs, and that's a lot. It isn't like Facebook where it has anniversary of a tab. If you look at it, there's one mobile game. The people that played as the Empire, most of them were in the global north, and those who played as the Rebellion was overwhelmingly in the global south.
I think I saw that post. I'm trying
That
to
should
find
say everything.
You know what? I used to play that game at school in my fucking lunch breaks, but yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, that those in the global south played as the Rebellion.
Yeah. And people of the reactionary imperialist countries embraced the Empire.
China is one of them too that played as the Empire, so we can't forget that.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Yeah.
I just had to bring that up. It's like Jesus. Yeah.
China is very powerful now. The way they have responded to the whole thing is very sus, though.
Wait, what?
The way that China's responded to the whole, Israeli Palestinian thing, it's very sus.
What's their stance?
They said this wouldn't have happened unless the Palestinians had their own state. We don't support Israeli occupation, but we still call for peace.
Basically, that's basically supporting Israel.
I mean, they're not directly, but I mean, compared to what the U.S. is doing, I mean, but they both have vested interest in that area.
But China's not going to go out of their way supporting Israel, no.
No, they wouldn't be that stupid. They know how much that a lot of people in the party probably hate them, and most people in the world hate them. So they're like, yeah, we don't want to fucking get our stupid hands in this.
There's people that claim that what's going on in Palestine was an inside job.
What the fuck does that mean?
And I don't believe that.
Literally, what the fuck does that mean?
That it was an inside job. There's no way Hamas could have launched that kind of attack in the way that they did.
Bitch,
people
I saw
can't
pictures
accept
of
the
that
fact
shit.
that Israel is... People can't see to understand that Israel has been so arrogant for so many years. They've been thinking they're untouchable. Do you think they would fucking let such a big attack happen that end up having fucking wars between 3 fucking countries? Do you think they would do that?
They're
No,
pretty
unless they're
dumb.
really stupid. I highly doubt that it was an inside job. I mean, imperialist powers always underestimate those who were colonized. It's like these people who say that just don't know history. Nobody thought fucking people would would beat the fucking British or the French or the Japanese, and look what happened.
They did.
It's not a surprise. I mean, it's not a surprise that these people. It's like Israelis the Iron Dome. They thought they were fucking so, like, invincible, but that's been shattered thanks to what's been going on. Like, yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu, he is going to be popular for a time, but that's not going to last for long. In a fascist regime, leaders lose popularity when they're losing a war.
Very quickly.
And I don't see this saving the Benjamin Netanyahu administration.
Mm-mm.
The really fucked up thing about this is I could see most of the Israelis just fleeing. And those who are stuck in Israel are those who don't have the capital to leave.
Mm.
Or are forced to stay because of a draft. Even though this may contradict earlier what I said, I don't really care. I don't really have empathy and sympathy for Israelis. But I'm just stating reality, what always happens in wars. The first people to flee Ukraine were people that already were financially affluent to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
That's just hilarious. Defeating the French isn't hard because they're a nation of pussies. Well, if you look at Ukraine, majority of the people that left were those who can afford to leave. The same thing is going to happen to Israelis.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
Majority of those who are fleeing right now are not going to come back. And those who are forced to stay are either fanatical when it comes to fucking them wanting to eradicate the Palestinians, or they are unable to leave. Either way, I think Israel is doomed. I really do think so. Israel is doomed.
I hope so.
This war is not going to be popular with people. The United States, it's like, the American people, it's like, oh, great, another fucking war. It's not going to be popular with the American people. It will be for a time. The American people, it's like, oh, great. And wait, a war with Ukraine and now this. The price of goods is going to go up even more because of this war. And you wouldn't be surprised if you have American troops being deployed in Israel and Palestine.
Their ships are already over there, so I mean, it's not that much of a step for them now, is it?
American recruitment's at an all-time low. It's like, what are they going to do? I mean, seriously, what are they going to do? I'm just asking a rhetorical question because what's going on right now with, like, Israel, Cop City, all these other things that are connected, like, America's tough. It's like, what are you going to do? That's why I'm saying they're going to have to cut some corners when it comes to which wars are they going to fund. And I think Ukraine's going to be the first people on the chopping block.
Definitely. Yeah. They'll definitely go before Israel.
It's like Zelensky's like, oh, can you give me some support, please? Fuck you. We don't care. You're just a small fish.
Yeah.
Like, Ukraine is already his loss, pretty much.
Yeah. And I mean, Israel probably might lose this. I don't know. Depends if the other powers get involved in the region. But
Israel is going to lose this. I don't see them winning.
I hope so.
Because how are they going to get a peace between all these countries, between Lebanon, Syria, Palestine? There's even I've heard here even Yemen might get involved. It's like you're going to see for a time. Yeah, they'll have a lot of support, but you're going to see that wane very quickly when you don't see results happening.
Just like what happened in Ukraine.
Cop City and Palestine are connected, so I don't view it as going off topic. Because as America becomes more and more fascist,
Cop City, but
we're going to see Cop
really
City be built. And not to mention with Israel, what's going on in Israel right now, we cannot just ignore what's going on in Israel because Cop City in Israel, these cops from Israel, whatever, the IDF, they train the cops here in America, and they support Cop City, and the people that support Cop City also support Israel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Israel or Ukraine winning either. Though if there's any country that's going to probably lose first, it's going to be Ukraine, because America has far more vested interest in Israel than in Ukraine, because Israel is their most dependable ally in the Middle East. If they don't have that
very
ally
important
anymore,
for them. Yeah.
If they don't have that ally anymore, then they're not going to be able to do their imperialism over there as easily. But considering America is already being pushed to its limit, I don't know. America is going to have to cut their losses with Ukraine, Syria, Iraq.
Yeah,
I think Israel will be the last country you'll see America stop supporting. It will happen eventually. Once Iran gets involved in this war, when it does happen, the question is when, not if it will happen. The question is when. You're basically are going to have most of the Arab world unite against Israel.
I mean, it probably will happen eventually. They have very low support among the Arab world these days. Like,
the longer this war goes on, the more likely Iran will get involved. And they're the most powerful country.
Hopefully they do. Hopefully they do. I'm not pro Iran, but hopefully they do.
It's mainly because the American government and the capitalist class are terrified of the American people. I mean, Israelis for years did not ever think that Israel would do the things that they do to them as they do to the Palestinians, but Israel is doing the same thing they do to the Palestinians to Israelis.
What they do. Yeah.
And America always looks at Israel as a model, because the American right, they see Israel as the ideal country.
So far.
But for them to actually have their ideal country, Cop City is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
The Cop City of Atlanta is necessary for them to enforce what they believe to be.
And I was going to say it's a prototype for what is going to go on.
White supremacist order,
and more and more of these little things are going to be built across the U.S. I wouldn't doubt it.
Hold on, Christopher Parker asked a question. Oh, sorry, Christopher Parker. There's so many. Okay, this. Do you believe that Russia will profit from the Israeli war?
Probably. I don't know.
I think they will,
because
how
They're
That's less
involved, but
pressure.
probably.
Because they've been running out of, they're low on ammo and all sorts of supplies before this thing started.
Mhm.
So those who support the Ukraine war effort they're not in a good position right now because Israel is going to take precedence over Ukrainians. So they don't give a shit. They'll leave the Ukrainians to die because they don't give a fuck. America would do the same to Israelis if it was more profitable to focus on Cop City than focusing on Israel.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't give a shit. They really don't give a shit. Yes, they do, and that's why talking about Cop City, it's unavoidable that Israel will be brought up at some point. I know the stream we haven't been focusing a lot more on Palestine than Cop City, but Cop City and Palestine is not unrelated because what Cop City essentially is, they want to bring
Those kind of tactics to
the
the United States.
like to black. That's what and Cop's the first step because are the white supremacists and the billionaires that fund them.
Yeah, they do have a lot of corporate connections, like was mentioned before, like Coca-Cola, West Fargo, like all the most conservative companies you can think of are also helping to construct Cop City. Hello?
Fuck. Of course it happens. Fucking shit. Sorry, I don't know what happened. Apparently my internet connection fucking stopped. Fuck. Oh shit. I am back. Don't worry, I'm not dead. I wasn't assassinated or anything. It's just some bullshit with my internet. It happens. I gotta check something really quick. All right, sorry, I'm just typing something to Max. Well, all right. So sorry guys about that. Fuck. That sucks. All right. All right, let's just see. All right. I'm sorry about that. Our internet went to shit. Like, damn. Well, all these corporations that are supporting Cop City, from Wells Fargo to Home Depot and various others, they have a vested interest
I'm so sorry. My internet connection is fuck. That was the second time I was kicked off.
Oh, sorry, dude.
Fucking god. I almost feel like it's some like I'm being censored. I'm not even joking.
I didn't even try to hang up. Like, just connection got so bad, and I was trying to like call back. Like, sorry about that.
Don't apologize. My internet connection's been giving me shit too.
Mm.
Fuck. I don't know if we'll have another thing that will kick us off, so I guess we'll just make our final points so we're not kicked off again.
Yeah, might as well. Hey.
Oh god, don't do this to me. Oh god. Oh. All right. I don't know if I'm going to be kicked off again. Don't be surprised if it happens. All right. To make my point quick.
Yeah.
Palestine and Cop City are not separate issues. They're the same.
No.
They're interconnected. What happens to one affects the other. Because the IDF support the police here. In fact,
there's a literal direct connection between IDF forces and the UN police movement.
You had various Israeli ministers basically calling black people dangerous.
I don't doubt it.
So that is why to combat white supremacy worldwide and to truly defeat white supremacy, showing solidarity to Palestine is essential. There is no separating what's going on in Palestine, what's going on to black people in America. Because black people in America are treated as badly as the Palestinians and European Jews in Israel. And any white Zionists in Israel or Israelis, whatever you want to call them. It is one of the most important issues of our time. And we cannot sit on this. We cannot ignore this. And we cannot just focus on one issue. We have to focus on multiple issues that are interconnected. What happens in Israel will happen in America eventually. The police in America are being militarized at an alarming rate.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what you see in Israel in videos will become a normal occurrence in America. In fact, it already is a normal occurrence in America.
In some places, yes. Yeah.
So, anybody that tries to tell you that what happens in Palestine has nothing to do with you, and I'm speaking to the black community here. What they're doing is essentially deceiving you. Now, I know it's not my place because I have white privilege.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm telling you is do not ignore what's going on in Palestine, because what Israel is doing to Palestinians, America is doing to you as well. And the black community should show solidarity to the Palestinian people, because the Palestinians have helped you in the past. They've told you how to fight the police because they use the same tactics as the IDF. Do not ignore what's going on in Israel. Do not ignore what the Palestinian struggle, because their struggle is your struggle as well. They're fighting their own battles, just like you are fighting for yours. And I'm not saying this because I look down on you or anything or whatever. I'm sorry. This is not coming out right. I'm saying this because I've seen a tread within some sections of the black community online that basically are apathetic to what's going on in Palestine. And you shouldn't be apathetic, because to be apathetic what's going on with Palestine is basically ignoring the struggles here. Because
to be
the
fair, I've
IDF
seen a lot of
and the thugs in
content creators
blue,
such as like Black Red Guard and stuff talking about this very in
Not
depth,
Black.
but like,
I'm not referring to him because
no, I know, but like, I mean, some people are covering it, but like at the same time, I think that's just a product of first worldist individualism. Like, people in the first world only care if it affects them, and that just doesn't extend to
I understand that.
people in Palestine or people
Of course,
in
people
Africa.
who watch those who watch Black Red Guard, they already know what I'm saying is true. But I'm speaking for those who don't. Those who don't follow the people like Black Red Guard. Yeah, those in the new black media, they say a lot of things that I agree with. But when it comes to Palestine, the near radio silence on what's going on in Palestine to me is a disgrace. Because what Israel does to the Palestinian people is what the cops in America are doing to black people here. You cannot ignore what's going on in Palestine
It'll
because
only
you're
get
basically
worse.
exactly. You hate the thugs in blue? Well, so do I. But who teaches the thugs in blue the tactics to do what they do to black people? The IDF. You have to know about the IDF. If you don't know your enemy, they're going to be using those same tactics on Palestinians, on you.
And they train each other. They go both
So
ways.
yeah, you cannot ignore what's going on in Palestine. What's going on in Palestine affects you. You don't. I'm not telling you to support Israel. Fuck Israel.
No.
Like your heroes, Malcolm X supported the Palestinians.
I'm not going to be here saying what black people should do. I feel that's terrible, but it's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying. Hello? Hello? Hello?
point. Like I said, the heroes that of the black community, they supported Palestine. You should too. And that is basically my final thoughts. I don't know when I'll be kicked off again, and honestly, I'm going to end it here. Stop Cop City, down with Israel, free Palestine. From land, sky, and sea, Palestine will be free. Free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine.